Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Why Ukraine live stream. Megovan and Melanie. Привіт, as we say. Привіт, мой друзі, as Dr. Gerdes likes to say. I'd like to thank you all for coming. Keith, Petra, I see that you were here. It's wonderful. And I absolutely appreciate it because I have not been able to live stream much this week. I haven't been able to. That's interesting. Ozzy Bugga. Yeah, that's exactly what I intend to talk about today. Ozzy says, I would be interested in hearing which Russia agitprop sticks to the people of Ukraine that you encounter. And yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about that because I had some very interesting conversations in Kyiv this week. Cheryl, thank you for coming. It's wonderful to have you here. And K&K's GG, as always, lovely. But yeah, so we have this little article here, which I think deserves first footing. And the article is, the UK approves Storm Shadow missile use in Russia. Finally. Freaking hell. It's been worse, I would argue, worse than the F-16s. Like, people have been calling for this for so long, and I don't know what you want to do. Blame Anthony Blinken, blame Biden, somebody. There's been all sorts of theories, but thank God it's finally happening. So it's fantastic. I'm very happy about it. I wish it had been 6 months ago, and I think that I didn't see the article about France, but I assume France will be coming along very soon. But yeah, The Guardian reports that British government sources confirmed a decision to allow Ukraine to use Storm Shadow missiles against Russian targets inside Russia. Yeah, I don't think there's any excuse for the continued restrictions. I think it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Thank you, Cheryl. Why didn't they just do this quietly and incrementally? Heads up asses. That's what it is. Heads up asses. But there we are. I'm happy about it. I want to talk about another thing that is really important that nobody's talking about. And that's this. Maybe somebody reported on it. This is from, a week ago. They've been talking about this for, God, it seems like almost a year. And so Canada has 80,000 of these CRV-7 rocket engines. So they had 80,000 of these rockets. And I can't remember off the top of my head what the range of these rockets are. They are, what are they? Air-to-surface missiles. So they're meant to be carried by planes. They were decommissioned. I think they date from the 1980s. Maybe 1970s. CRV-7 rocket. I want to see what the range is. 7 rocket range. 2.75 inch, 70 millimeter folding fin ground attack rocket, introduced in the early 1970s. Come on, give me the range. Now, so these were being decommissioned, and they were just being thrown away, just like so many of these other things that, like, the United States is actively disposing, Australia actively disposing of their equipment, and it costs them money to do so. It would be cheaper for them to send it to Ukraine, and they're still not doing it. So this is a big win. Now, so the missiles are partially disassembled, right? That's just the motors, and then they'd already disposed of the warheads, so they've only got 1,300 warheads for these things. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Like, Ukraine will use these things. 80,000 missiles, potentially. Ukraine will put new warheads on them in a few months. We'll start to see these on the front. 80,000 missiles is a big number, and it's much better than the trickle down, 10 tanks here, freaking 50 vehicles there. This is the sort of thing that can have an effect in terms of strategic planning. Basically, this is the level of contribution, and the kind of contribution that our respective Western countries need to be making. Thinking outside the box a little bit, I would argue. Oh yes, Cheryl. I watched Pyotr Kurzin's guest speak. He said the problem is coming from the Pentagon due to a low stock of ATACMS to also counter the Houthi threat. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Also, I think it was maybe Ryan Macbeth talking about how these U.S. systems have limitations put on them don't quote me on this because it was a month ago that I saw it. Last White Rose, you say most were waterlogged and have nada in the boombox. We have nada in them. Well, I just, here's the thing. Australia with the Taipan helicopters, you'll recall, making a bunch of excuses why they couldn't send them to Ukraine. I'm sure that America has a bunch of equipment that they're making excuses why they can't send them to Ukraine. It's just, get away from that. Like, just stop making excuses, Yeah. Okay. So this is good. And so let's get into what's happening. I mean, this is freaking amazing, right? So Ukraine forces seize several settlements in Russia's Kursk Oblast, but lose some as well. So this is deep state from today. Here's ISW, and this is pretty interesting. So basically, and I know that everybody was talking about this yesterday. Basically, Ukraine is flanking the flank, right? So here in Kursk, Russia charged into this area, and now they are charging into this area. And it could well be argued that this is like the moment that Ukraine was waiting for, essentially. Possibly. I would like to think that. Like, I've really been wondering, like, okay, yeah, they want to starve out the soldiers in this area, but there's going to be special forces coming across that river. The Russians are going to get people across. They had pontoons and what have you. And it's clear that they've done that. So here's Noel reports. Now, deep state. We'll get out of there. We'll come back. We'll come around to Pokrovsk in a minute. Deep State kind of shows some things, but not really. But it's pretty interesting that they've really got these roads highlighted here. That's a pretty interesting thing. This you can just picture now Ukraine just coming right up that road and splitting Glushkovo and Snagost. Snagost being right here. So these are good things. These are amazing things. But then let's turn it around here, and we have down here we have Pokrovsk, and Pokrovsk is another kettle of fish, and it's disconcerting what's going on down there. Okay, I've been saying for weeks that you saw Ryan O'Leary posting about the 59th. They have a really bad reputation. Awesome. It's true. Apparently, they're still sending guys on terrible missions. Hello, Dimitri. It's good to see you. So, I'm hearing all this stuff about Pokrovsk, but what about down here? Like this area is about to be completely encircled, and this salient that it was a salient, and now it's not. It's a full-on wedge. It's going to be much more difficult for Ukraine to flank. Like here, what Ukraine is doing up in Kursk is what I expect to see them do in Pokrovsk. Something like this. But the Russians have a fairly narrow salient here, and it's, communications are bad. It's tough getting guys in and out of there. It's pretty narrow. This down here in Pokrovsk is much, much wider. And they're about to turn this into a whole big triangle. Yeah, Cheryl, that 59th is what I've been told about the 59th, to be honest. I can't verify this, just been told. And I've read it. I've actually read it in paper articles and things. It's basically, you get no training. They just send you out there. And the ones who come back, first time, the ones who come back alive get training. Yeah. So, man, I really hope that my caffeine tick kicks in. I had a hell of a day. Hell of a week, really, which I will get to. I will talk about because it's important. But so, when this salient was fairly narrow and it looked kind of like a finger sticking in, that would have been a lot easier for Ukraine to counterattack. Oh, hello, Belle. I hope you're having a great time at work. Pretty early in the morning there, isn't it? Don't you work in a bar? I thought. All good, Bill. You can lurk today. So I like what's going on, because here's the thing. I know. I don't think this doesn't need to be OPSEC. Okay. I know that there are units getting transferred and moved up here. I know about them. I can't say who or which ones or whatever, but I know there's units being transferred and moved up here. Okay? And I haven't heard like about as units being transferred to Pokrovsk. Okay? This makes me worried. I'm sorry, guys. I want to apologize for starting so early. I know it's early for a lot of you in the States. It's really just that I know that there is this some kind of a marathon, like a fundraising marathon, starting at 7:00 today, and so I was like, gosh, I don't want to interfere with that. It's got like Greg Terry and I don't know all these other people, big people. So I said I'm going to start earlier. So this is like your pregame for that, right? Anyway, so I mean, what I want to believe is that there are secretly hidden units here in Pokrovsk waiting, and I know that there have been counterattacks at the head of this dick here, whatever you want to call it. I know that there have been counterattacks. I know that. But I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? I mean, weeks ago I said that, this was where Russia would be stopped, maybe. But now, are you telling me that Ukraine didn't think about the fact that in response to being stopped here, Russia would just spill out like the blob in every other direction? I mean, obviously, they did not think about that. They didn't have. Why would they be? I mean, and they're sending units up to Kursk and not Pokrovsk. Like, I just don't. I want to believe that there's a plan. Like Ukraine matters. He's like, trust AFU. I I have trouble with that. Martin, thank you for coming. So, I'm really worried about this. I don't have anything else to say about it, really, other than that. I think this is an important article from the Kiev Independent. What the fall of Pokrovsk would mean for Russia's war in Ukraine. Very interesting article. Russia advances south, building the base for a further push on the key Ukrainian logistic hub. And I know I've heard on Ukraine the Latest, all these other ones about how there's kind of this chain of, Pokrovsk and then Pavlograd and then Dnipro. I think we're a long way from that, from the Russians being able to just run up this road. No, it's not about that. It's about taking this whole area, taking Sloviansk, pushing the front line up to Kramatorsk, or at least pushing the front line up to Konstantinivka. Being able to do that, and then from here, they don't have to. They can radiate out in every direction. So this is. This article is from 9 days ago, but it's a real concern, and I just keep thinking, well, this is actually a really big. If you wanted to dangle out some bait, this would be a great time to do it. Now, the flip side of that is that we have heard that the Russians are finally pulling units out of the rear of Pokrovsk and to send them up to reinforce Kursk and conduct the counterattack up in Kursk. Maybe that's the moment that Ukraine has been waiting for. I would like to believe that, honestly. I would like to believe that this little recent gain here in Marinivka is going to cut off the Russians in Novohrodivka, New Hrodivka, something like that. But I'm going to have a lot of doubts if this cauldron gets closed, if this thing gets closed off, and Ukraine has to retreat out of there. It's going to make things really difficult. But let's just take a look at this. Okay. Look, I really like the way Noel Reports includes the terrain mapping. Maybe. Let's say maybe. This is a low area. It's difficult for the Russians to cross. This city is on a bit of a hill. One could say that if Ukraine wanted to make a defensible position where you could lay waste to the orcs, as it were. Oh, hello, Shere Khan. Thank you for coming, by the way. This would be a good place to do it, as opposed to trying to defend this area. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what they're going for. But if that is the case, then losing Ukrainsk, which is on the same kind of ridge above this river, is very bad. That's bad. So this is me guessing. But losing Pokrovsk will be bad. And honestly, turning this into a permanent salient, a permanent front line, is bad. Yeah, Cheryl, you're right. Ukraine needs to retreat out of that pocket, but doing that, again, makes it really difficult to conduct a flanking attack like they've done in Kursk. Makes it more difficult to do that. So that's what I'm concerned about. Okay. So with that, we can just talk briefly about this. I think this is pretty interesting. Just the fact that how Ukrainians are playing this, right? And the fact that Russians seem to be okay with joining Ukraine. And seem to be like, well, fine, we don't care. That's the problem with when you depoliticize your populace. They'll just take anything, right? And that's what Russia has done. They've made a country of pod people, in essence, if you get that reference. The town museum here. Anyway, so I just want to make mention about that. So yeah, so I spent the week in Kyiv and had some very interesting things. I can't tell you all the details, obviously, but I can show you this. Oh, shoot, hang on. No. There we go. So these are some Ukrainians learning how to repair drones in this secret drone laboratory. Pretty fun. Pretty cool.
It's very interesting now.
Oh, Catherine, thanks for coming. On the Marshrutka to Lviv. Keith, you make an interesting point. So there have been reserves in Kharkova and Zaporizhia. It's just timing. Starsky plans things to their strength. I hope you're right about Pokrovsk. Maybe the time is ripe. Time is right. Yeah. So how was my week? It was amazing. It was amazing, guys. I just don't make it up to Kyiv very often, and so first of all, I was able to have a meeting with, you guys know I always talk about my Botany school. My Botany means future. It's a democratic school where I teach, and um, I hope to be able to teach there again this year. And you guys know, I think if you haven't looked at my community tab, you can go there and check out the video about the drone class that I taught God, was it 3 weeks ago now? Oh my God, can't believe it's that long. um, so I've been asked to set that class up again for this school in Kyiv. And the cool thing is, and so here's another video from the drone laboratory. And as you can see here, they've got 3 3D printers working full time, building stuff. If you want to know like what these are, these little green pieces here, the little green T-shaped pieces, you can see them right there. So those are parts for antennas, and these are special antennas that help the drone defeat Russian electronic warfare and electromagnetic interference. And they're what's called diversity antennas. So they look like a T, and this plastic 3D printed piece is the center of the T that holds the wires in place. And I got to make a bunch of the wire parts, the metal parts, a bunch of like soldering for that. And I actually have some videos of me doing that, but it's kind of boring, to be honest. But they liked it. They enjoyed it. They said, well, I came one day, and I think they didn't realize that I knew what I was doing. Like they thought, oh, he's an American. He's just going to show up and play around and not do anything. But I sat down and started cranking out these antennas, like boom, boom, boom. And when I got up to leave, they were like, when are you going to come back? So then I said, well, I thought I would come back one day. I wasn't able to make it back. And finally on Thursday night, I was able to make it back there. And they said, oh man, we were making jokes. They said, typical American delivers a bunch of aid and then doesn't come back for 8 months. Doesn't. So, Herb, thank you for coming, by the way. So anyway, so I got to do a bunch of that, and you guys will see down the road, I'm going to make a bunch of short videos about this stuff. The stuff that I got to do. And it's very interesting. What are some? I guess I was able to have a really interesting conversation with a reporter from Reuters. And I also talked to a reporter from the BBC, but I don't think she liked me very much. What was interesting, though, was so I had a couple of very interesting encounters with. Why don't I have the article up here? Let's see if I can find it. Russian propaganda in Ukraine. Okay, well, we know all about we know all about well, okay, that's not true. We don't know all about the Russian propaganda campaign in America. Okay. This is one that it's so funny watching, Jake Broe and everyone else talk about this, and they're like, why can't I get? I think the most thing that they're angry about is how much money these guys made. I mean, I'm joking, but how much money these guys got. $100,000 per clip. Per clip. They're like, holy crap. CIA, pay me. But the point I would like to make is that this is just really, really, really just the absolute tip of the iceberg in terms of what was the Russian response? What was RT's response to the Department of Justice notifying them of this investigation? Right. The response from RT was ha 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 ha. And the reason that they laughed is because Russia in the and what's her name? Nadia Simoyan. Let's see. RT Simoyan. Yeah. That's the one. This person, right? She literally said on her show, like, since RT was shut down, they have set up a massive empire of willing dupes all over the world, just like these guys. I mean, this is literally just the tip of the iceberg in terms of in terms of like, everybody's freaking about these 4 guys. Like, there's hundreds of Russian propagandists, American Russian propagandists, and I just hope that this doesn't die. I hope that this, the FBI will investigate this, and this will lead them to something else, and to something else. What I would argue, the reason that they were able to find this, right? So, Justice Department indicted 2 employees of the Russian propaganda outlet RT on Wednesday, charging them through foreign shell companies filing. But where they made the mistake, where these criminals made the mistakes, particularly this Lauren Chen, okay, she stupidly started and opened up an official company called Tenant Media to take this money, to take this. And I'm quite certain that there are lots and lots and lots of these influencers who are taking the money under the table in different ways. And then, of course, we have the Trump SPAC, okay, which was financed by Russians with ties to Putin. Like, I don't know if you knew this, but so Trump set up a fake company, essentially, called Digital World Acquisition Company. And this is where he's got this Trump Media with Truth Social, and it was supposed to make hundreds of millions of dollars, and it doesn't make any money, and a net loss of 49 million. And this is from March 25th, but now, of course, it's massively losing value, and Trump's going to cash out of it. He's going to take this money. Here we go. Trump can only watch as his media stake takes a $4 billion dive. But he was counting on this money. I guarantee it. He was counting on this money to pay for his campaign. And what happens when the FBI finally tracks down that the origin of the money for this SPAC came from Vladimir Putin? Like, okay, Possum Nation. Apparently, Biden administration is going to release more RT meddling info next week. Hope it keeps the ball rolling. Would love it if it includes Jill Stein. I mean, I think that, on the left and the right side, I think there's a lot of people who have taken money, wittingly or unwittingly. It needs to be just like if you take money from Al Qaeda. Okay, it's the same thing. It needs to be considered the same thing, and this is why I've been saying Russia needs to be declared a terrorist state. Then the abilities of the FBI to track this down and prosecute these things would grow tremendously. But I'm glad that they're finally doing it. But here in Ukraine, that's another deal, right? And that's what I want to talk about. I don't really have a good picture for it because I'm just going to kind of tell the story. There's a lot of stuff here about countering Russian propaganda about Ukraine, but so let's just talk about it. So I had two conversations this week with Russian speakers. Obviously, they spoke enough English that we could communicate. I was invited to a banya, and if you don't know what that is, it's like a sauna / sweat lodge a little bit. It's sort of this old Ukrainian tradition. It's men go to the banya, men, and we sit around naked or half naked and drink and go in the sauna, and they beat you with branches. It's kind of weird. It's an odd tradition, but Ukrainians think it's great. The Ukrainians think it's like the secret to good health. A little bit like Swedes and Finns have, the sauna. Every Swedish house, when I was there, had its own sauna inside the house, it seems. But so these guys, I was invited, and the person who invited me was from Western Ukraine, and 3 of them were from Kharkiv. And this is in Kiev. And those 3, like I said, they all spoke Russian. Two of them spoke English. So we were able to talk. And so we sit down. And the first thing that they ask me is, what do you think about Trump? And I said, I think Trump would suck Putin's dick if he asked nicely. I think they didn't quite understand what I said. And so then they said, and I was really taken aback by this question. They said, do you really think he can end the war in 24 hours? I was like, what? Where are you getting this? Like, you really believe that? I said, Trump is a charlatan, is a he just lures in stupid people. I literally said that. Again, translation issues maybe, and so but this is the information that they're getting, and they said, well, what about this Kamala? And I said, yeah, obviously Kamala is much better for Ukraine. Trump hates Ukraine. And they were like, what? And I said, yeah, Trump has a really close relationship with Putin going back years and years. They were surprised about this. They had no idea. And, keep in mind, it's 5 men sitting at a table with no shirts on. And one of them says, but isn't Kamala a little bit stupid? And I was like, stupid, stupider than Donald Trump. Like, she has a Juris Doctor. She's a doctor of law. Like, I mean, so they're getting this from somewhere, and that's what I said. Like, where are you getting this from? Like, you're just repeating Russian propaganda to me. And I was trying to explain to them that, look, I talked about, let's take a look at the debate, because I listened to about the first 20 minutes of the debate the next day while I was doing other stuff. And I thought to myself, and you guys, I know you'll disagree with this, and I thought to myself, man, if all I listened to was the first 20 minutes of this debate, and I was a know-nothing, like I just had only the most casual knowledge about politics, like I know who Joe Biden is, I know he's the president or whatever. I've heard some names, that's it. I would honestly, I didn't even have enough information to know whether Trump was lying, for example. I would think that Trump was winning the debate. And the reason that I say this, guys, is because of his power of rhetoric, the way his emotion in his voice. And that's what, don't be insulted by this if you like Trump, but learn from it. He attracts stupid people. If you listen to Trump and you're like, wow, he sounds amazing, like, he's doing that on purpose. It's his Jedi mind tricks. It only works, on those with lesser minds. So if you are affected in that way by Donald Trump, then you need to, question yourself. And this is basically what I said to them. Now, I don't think that they listened to the debate. I don't think that they even have listened to Donald Trump. They're getting this all secondhand, but they're getting it from somewhere. And I tried to explain that. Look, what does it mean? What does Trump mean when he says he's going to end the war? And I said, what would that mean? It would mean, because I wanted to find out, are these guys, do they secretly support Russia? I mean, at this point, I was like, what the hell? James, did those guys also actually believe that Haitians are eating people's pets in Springfield? I mean, understand that these guys didn't actually listen to the debate. Okay, all they, and yes, Catherine, I said they were Russian speaking. Yes, not a word of Ukrainian. I've learned enough now to learn the difference, when I hear it. But no, I mean, they're getting everything secondhand. Like, they just see pictures of Donald Trump, and then in whatever media they're watching or listening to, they're hearing. That's why they said, wasn't Kamala a little bit stupid? That's because in Russian media, they're trying to play, or they were before the debate, they were trying to play off, Kamala is this naive, stupid woman. It's very, very, very sexist, right? So I said to them, what would Trump's ending the war mean? Do you understand what that would mean? It means ending the war now means Ukraine would not get back any of its land. Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, Crimea. I said, do you want that? Is that what you want? They were like, no. Okay. And then in 5 years, and then Ukraine's not allowed to join NATO. I mean, this is just what the vice president said a couple of days ago. Oh my God, I just said that, didn't I? His vice president pick. Sorry. JD Vance, the potential new vice president, said, essentially, Ukraine would not get back any of its land, freeze the war. Ukraine's neutral, can't join NATO, can't join EU, gets no protections, I said. And so in 5 years, Russia reconstitutes its army and attacks again. Is that what you want? Oh, no. And I said, okay, then think, use your brain. But you guys know, we know that the world is full of stupid people. Even in Ukraine, there are people who are just not paying attention and just don't, they barely understand Ukrainian politics, much less and it's not the first time I've heard this sort of thing. There's a lot of Ukrainians who listen to, they see Donald Trump, they may not understand everything he's saying, but his rhetorical speech, kind of like being an asshole, especially for men, it's very attractive. It's like, wow, this guy can be a total asshole. He's so manly. I want to be like him. Cheryl says, I heard Greg Terry saying the same thing on the live stream. Right-wing media made a big deal about Kamala's simple explanation on why Ukraine is important on a hip-hop culture channel. Yeah, that's right. I remember that, Cheryl. That's right. And they took that way out of context. So, I had another. So I had another really interesting conversation. This happened the night before I left. For some reason, at the hotel I stayed at, there was this old guy, and I was in the kind of eating area. And this old guy, he'd been there a couple of times. He must have been like 80 years old. Like, what was he doing there? I just don't know. But he really liked me for some reason. Once he found out I was American, as is typical here, which I appreciate. It's all right. Oh yeah, wow. Aussie Bugga. When I asked one of my sister-in-laws why she liked a certain candidate, she said, "Because he has pretty daughters." Yeah, this is right. Exactly. You know what I mean? Anyway, so this old guy, and he asked me something about like Trump versus Kamala Harris, and this happened like 2 days before, and he said to me that he didn't think a woman could be president. Maybe prime minister, he said, but not president. So I'm like, I kind of don't like this guy, but I bumped into him again, and he was like, "Oh, American, sit down." So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll sit down. And he must ask me some kind of a question, about what are you doing here? And the conversation came around to Americans who are fighting here in this war. You know. Oh wow. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Ken, for that. Thank you very much, and welcome all of you who have obtained memberships. Yeah, Possum. What do they think ending the war in one day would mean? Yes, exactly. So it came around to, Americans fighting here in Ukraine, and I mentioned, my goal, my desire to fight and join the army and things. And he was like, said, why? This I get this from Ukrainians all the time, even Ukrainians, Ukrainian speakers, but he was like, why would you want to do that? And I said, well, for freedom, for freedom and democracy. We're here to risk our lives for. There's no other reason. I mean, if you don't have freedom, then everything else comes after that. Knowledge, love, family, all the other things that are important in life. If you don't have freedom, none of those other things matter. And if we don't fight for that freedom, if we don't fight for the freedom of others, then soon we ourselves will no longer be free. No one is free until all are free, in fact. So we have to defend freedom around the world, or soon those totalitarian dictators will be on our doorstep. And I would argue that with Donald Trump, they are. They exist. My last comment's being deleted. Strange. I forgot to check and see if the AI. Remember, I told you I deleted the. I removed the AI moderator that Restream has, but I forgot to go and check and see if it was back. So I apologize for that. They exist. If anybody else has their comments deleted, please let me know. So he said to me, well, couldn't you risk your life in America? He said, is it worth $3,000? And this is the thing. This is the thing that a lot of Ukrainians believe, that the foreign fighters who are coming here are doing it for the money. They really believe that. And even, like I said, even the pro-Ukraine ones, they're like, that's what they think. Because think about it from their perspective. It says more about their own morality. So they're thinking about, well, if it was me, Frag, did you hear the line Zelensky said about people making peace plans without involving him or Ukraine's permission? No, but I do know that, like China and Brazil have come up with a peace plan or something like that. But no, Mr. Nobody, to us, it makes perfect sense. Defend democracy. What's so hard to comprehend? But understand that this is my point today, they are hearing and have been hearing constantly since the Soviet Union, if not before. Democracy doesn't exist. Democracy is not real. And especially if they are Russian speakers, It's so cynical, you know. Oh, these guys from the Banya, they were like, well, America's making money from this war. And I'm like, what money is America making from this war? They said, well, gas, they're selling gas. They could have. And I'm like, oh, so you prefer Russia to make that money? And they were like, America could sell its gas to anyone, you know, honestly. China and India are making money. Why don't you talk about them? You know. But so this old guy, I told him the story of, you know, I told him the story of many of my friends who got paid almost nothing, very, very little. I said, nobody makes $3,000 a month. Nobody makes that. You're paid by the day. And yes, if maximum, if you spent 30 days on the zero line, you could potentially make $3,000 a month. But I said, in many cases, Ukrainian commanders are stealing that money from them, you know, and reporting it incorrectly. And then I told him the story of Tony, who, to my knowledge, in his entire time in Ukraine, made $250 before he died. Yeah, Cheryl, my nephew said they were voting for Trump over Haley because Haley is boring, Trump is fun and entertaining. And you know, stupid people get what they deserve, I guess. Mr. Nobody, some of my comments should probably be, I assume you meant deleted. 5 tries and 5 variations, all deleted. Are you serious? Holy crap. Can you please message me on Discord? You know they exist. With what you're trying to say. I'm sorry. I don't even have Discord up right now. But I can. And I will read it aloud myself. That is crazy. I mean, I don't even have a moderator in here right now, guys. Come on. That is nuts, because it's not the first time this has happened. It's really weird. So what was interesting, you know, I was talking about this stuff, and sitting behind him was a group of young women. So sitting behind this old man in the hotel lobby, let's say, eating area, was a group of young women, maybe 10. And I could see their ears perking up as I was speaking and telling these stories, and finally they interrupted, and they were like, okay, we are just listening to you. And I was basically just blowing this old guy out of the water, countering every piece of his propaganda. And they interrupted, and they said, listen, we've been listening to you, and we are so inspired by you. He said, it's so amazing, you know, it's so great to hear someone talk about this stuff, and where are you from, and where are you here, and what do you do, and blah blah blah. And it turns out that these young women were from all over Ukraine, and they were part of a university. They were first year university students, part of a women's leadership program. So they came from all over Ukraine, and they were staying in this hotel, I guess. I didn't get all the details. But I was like, yeah, this is fantastic. So you guys clearly are, these are the younger generation. They're getting their news from Ukrainian speaking media, and their viewpoint was completely different. And it's just amazing to me how as bad as I think we will see in the coming days, as bad as the Russian influence has become in America, at least in the Russian-speaking side, among Russian speakers in Ukraine, it's much more insidious. It's much more insidious, and oh, Cheryl, yes, yeah. Konstantin on Inside Russia was a traditional conservative Republican supporter when he lived in the U.S. He listens to Fox and gets all confused. Yeah, yeah. So, the good thing to know is that the younger generation, the Ukrainian speakers, are, it should give you hope, basically. But the older generation and those of whatever age who are just listening to Russian media, nah, it's no. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to get at. Just another quick thing. SkruffyTalez, who I have a lot of respect for, made a statement to me, I think yesterday, maybe. I just posted it, did a post like, "Hey everyone, I've just spent the week in Kyiv working in a secret drone laboratory, among other things," and blah blah blah, talking about stuff. What the sub? And, I won't lie, this kind of rubbed me the wrong way. He said, "If you're involved in this at the level you claim," ooh, I just don't like that word. Claim. When you put it that way, you're basically accusing someone of lying. That's what it means. Oh, you claim to be Superman. Well, let's see you fly then. You know. But hey, Scruffy's he's Swedish. Maybe language. Anyway, if you're involved in this at the level you claim, don't advertise. Russia could hack your electronic devices and track and pinpoint locations of interest. Always assume the enemy wants to know what you know. Guys, I'm clearly aware of this. Okay? Very clearly aware. It's something I think about all the time, right? But think about this. There has, and so that's why I responded. You mean like this? And I showed him one of my previous episodes where I'm talking about going to another secret drone laboratory, or any of my shorts videos where I'm building drones, And he asked, "Is it worth it?" And yeah, it is precisely worth it. Like, I've had some of you, my viewers, actually tell me that they were going to unsubscribe and stop watching me and go support someone else because, I'm not a real soldier. That's literally what I've been told. It's such a difficult balance. Oh, Keith, you messaged me on Discord? Cool. It's such a difficult balance, and it's scary. Hey, it wasn't me. It's okay to be late. Better late than never, right? Keith, you messaged me on Discord, and I don't see it. Maybe it was a while back. Huh. Strange. I wonder. Anyway, maybe it's not updating. Okay. In any case, it's a real. It's scary. It's a scary thing to be authentic, show authenticity. KKSGG, yeah, you make a good point. You say, I wish it did give me hope, James, but I've been around long enough to see the youthful optimism of 30 years of people devolve into elderly cynicism. The progressives become uber right wingers. Yeah. I think that one way to combat that is learning. Constantly learning, never always seeking to learn new things, keeping your brain and your mind flexible. I think challenging yourself to learn all the time, to keep that flexible mind. Oh yeah, Cheryl, about Kamala. Yeah. Sure. I explained to Constantine it's normal for a VP or prime minister to be the president's successor. What isn't normal is for a president to refuse to step down after an election they lost. Yeah. I brought up, I did bring up the democratic or undemocratic aspects of Harris versus some other potential candidate, and the fact is that Harris was the most democratic candidate because Harris is the candidate that everyone voted for, and they voted for Harris and Biden and Harris. So if that's in our Constitution. So it yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let's see. I'm just going back. No, Constantine, I do watch when he's talking about what's going on inside of Russia. I do pay attention to that because sometimes he has really good explanations about what's going on inside Russia. I usually watch his first half, and yeah, Scruffy is good, Dimitri, for sure. Okay, so I want to talk about some other things, but I also am exhausted from my week. I'd like to talk about the ATACMS missile, if we didn't already talk about that. We did. We talked about it at the beginning, but this whole bullshit. Russia will be at war with NATO if long-range missiles are lifted. This is an interesting. The Eurasian Times, which I don't know if I trust it or not. U.S. persuades Ukraine to use missiles on high-value Russian targets. I don't think that. Anyway, it's interesting the way different parts of the media look at this issue. I'm just glad it's happening, starting to happen. It's a good thing. It's a big thing. I guess what I would like to tell you, what I need to tell you, those of you who are still here listening, and thank you for coming, is that I can't tell you everything that I did. Like this is why I'm bringing up the subject of OPSEC, right? I can't tell you everything that I did last week, or sorry, this past week. I will be able to do that soon. It's interesting. KCG, it's more what James says. It does seem to be more prevalent in those who refuse to be lifelong learners, the kind who get a piece of paper and think they're done. Yeah. That's why I always encourage my students, learning English or whatever it is you're going to learn. It's a marathon. It's not a race. Yeah. So anyway, the point is, guys, I need to let you know that this channel is going to be changing, and I'm not sure how yet, because something really, really big happened last week. Some of you already know about it. I can't talk about it yet. I will soon, probably next week. I'm not sure exactly how the channel is going to be changing, but I don't know what is going to happen. I'm probably going to have to do for a little time, for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to have to do less live streams. At the same time, okay, that's what I'm going to say about it. Because big things are happening, and it's going to, for a very short time, for 2 weeks to a month, let's say, I need to work on some other things that I can't talk about yet. I think maybe I'll be able to talk about it next Thursday. I'll try to do a live stream, or if I can't do it next Thursday, then next Saturday. I'm going to try and do a live stream tomorrow, but maybe not. Maybe I need to just work on the stuff I need to work on. But I will keep, I think I'm going to cut it down. I think I'm going to cut it down to one live stream a week. Yeah. So either that will probably be either Thursday or Saturday of next week. I have a lot of things to do. I need to finish all of these orders. And by the way, that is one thing that will be happening. I don't know when exactly. I'm going to change some of the things I'm raising money for here. So some of this stuff will be changing, and I will be raising possibly money for another unit or another couple of units. So if you wanted to get in orders for this stuff, for this Ithil Ambar secret drone lab near the front, I'm going to basically do it, because if you guys recall, hang on, I got all these antennas. I bought some of these devices to make sure that they were the right ones. And now this week now I've come back from my big trip, and now I'm ready to do a bulk order of all of this stuff here. I will let you know. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say about it. So yeah, I hope that you guys all go to the, let's see, where is this live stream that's popping up? That's the big marathon live stream. I'm hoping it comes up in my notifications here. Oh, Tridents Against Tyrants. He's coming up today, 2:30 a.m. Well, sorry I won't be able to make that, but I'll put it on my notifications anyway so I can see it. I know that there's like a big deal live stream coming up. It's like a marathon. It's got to be in my notifications here. Anyway, I will share it from my community tab as soon as it comes up. Hey, Fragdenchizo, thank you. I mean, I'm not asking for really anything right now, but every little bit helps. And if you want to help me directly right now, you can order something down here. And but even that's going to be changing. So this might even be in the next month or so. This might even I might not carry this stuff anymore. I'm not sure yet. Top of my head. Maybe it's Silicon Curtain. Somebody's doing a big freaking fundraising marathon. Maybe it's Silicon Curtain. And it starts at 7 p.m. And I don't know who it is, but definitely maybe it's Greg Terry. No. Anyway, go and look for it. And when you find it, let me know. Because it's like, maybe it's Jake Broe? Maybe? No, it's not. Okay, 9 p.m. Hang on. Man, it's a really big deal. I mean, to me, it seems like, with all these like big time people in it. Nope. All right. Well, shit. I can't find it. Damn. Maybe it's Rick. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, that's all I had to talk about today. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'm going to have a really big update in the next week about what's going on in my life. That's what I will say about it. So I hope that you at least enjoyed this somewhat and learned some things. Yeah, Yogi, this is just the pregame. It's Eric. Thank you. Thank you. European Resilience Initiative. That's the one. Initiative Center. Here we go. Ukraine Update and Donation Marathon. That's the one, guys. So go check them out. Everybody's already there. I'm already hitting like. Go pop in. Hi. I am sending people here. Okay. Dopobache, everyone. Dopobachinya. And have a great weekend. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.